into another edition of Candlepin Stars and Strikes. From Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire, Dick Lutz with Mike Moore, and it's great to have you with us. This is our second week of our fourth ladder series. Some great bowling last week by Shawn McKinley.
Indeed, and we've seen so many great bowlers in this ladder, bowlers we haven't seen in years like Mike Poulin and Shawn McKinley. And this week's competitor, our challenger, Hugh Ferguson.
Shawn McKinley at 397 last week to beat Mike Poulin's 374, advancing to round two. Let's meet our bowlers first. Last week's winner, our number 5 seed from Hudson, New Hampshire. Let's welcome back Shawn McKinley.
Told us last week that he pretty much grew up here at Leda Lanes. He's got a lot of fan base here. 123 average, high single, 197, 490 his best triple, and he does bowl still here at Leda Lane.
And he rolled a 665 in the roll-off to earn the number 5 seed, new record holder here at Leda Lanes. We'll talk more about that a bit later on. He will take on our number 3 seed from Hanover, Massachusetts, Hugh Ferguson.
A name that a lot of people will remember for many, many years. A great bowler averaging 120, high single, 212. 486 best triple, bowls at Hanson Athletic Association in Hanson, as well as the Hanover Bowladrome.
212, huh?
212, that's right.
Wow. It's Hugh Ferguson and Shawn McKinley. Let's come back to Leda Lanes for Candlepin Stars and Strikes right after this. There you see the 5 bowlers who began this ladder series, our 4th. We have 3 already qualified for the Tournament of Champions. Last week it was Shawn McKinley defeating Mike Poulin. Hugh Ferguson, this week's opponent, with Joe Schifferdecker and Ryan Tripp waiting in the wings. And there's Shawn McKinley getting us started with the pick of 1 pin. Good second ball, but it was tough. It's a pretty good 8-box to start out.
Last week, 397 in his victory over Mike Poulin. Now he'll hope for a little bit better start here after throwing a 1 on his first ball, the first box.
That's a pretty good way to come back.
Funny looking strike, the way the pin's all kind of just bunched up over on the right-hand side. And we've got some wood that will need to be removed by Kate Nichols, our official scorekeeper.
Prior to the taping, a gentleman came up to me at the Leda Lanes in Nashua and said he wanted to say hello to a group of co-workers who watch our show every week. Lieutenant Ed Corcoran, a veteran of 33 years of the Wilmington Fire Department, wanted to say hello to the guys in Group 4 at the Wilmington Fire Department. He said they religiously watch our program every Saturday and Sunday from noon to 1 at the Wilmington Firehouse. And guys, it's great to have you along for the ride.
Thank you, and thanks for all the good work that you do for your community. Hard work, honest work, dangerous work.
We got lots of cards and letters and emails that we'll get to. Hugh Ferguson missing the spare right there. Tell you a little bit about Hugh from Hanover, Massachusetts. 10 bucks to start out. Teamster truck driver for the Boston Globe. He and Pam have been married for 37 years. A son, Glenn, a son, Ross, enjoys fishing and hunting. He's been on TV a bunch of times. He was on the old Channel 5 show 30 or so times. Been on with us 5 times over the years. A 212 high single.
And I bet you he did that a number of years ago when the game was a little bit tougher to do that. Just an amazing game. Mike Morgan also has a 212 for a high game. He did that in WCBC tournament action. I'm not sure when Hugh had his 212, if he did it in a league or exactly when.
I don't think it's easy to do today.
Oh, it's out there. It's very few people even get over 180.
I mean, you think it's easy to get a 142?
If your name is Dick Lutz, yes. But you did it last year. And we'll tell everybody about our annual grudge match, all part of the Rock and Bowl event coming up at Pilgrim Lanes on February 20th. We'll give you some more details about that as the show goes on.
Got a letter here that I'm really curious about, Michael. I'll read you the letter, then the name has my head spinning a little bit. Shawn with a pretty good effort. Dear Mike and Dick, one of the things I miss most about living in New England is not being able to see Candlepin bowling. I watched Candlepin Stars and Strikes for many years when I lived in New Hampshire, and my dad still watches faithfully and reports the results to me. My dad's going to be 80 years old this coming April. He's bowled in the senior league at the Portsmouth Lanes for many years. This year he's going to have knee surgery. He'll not be able to bowl. Please say hello to him on your show. He never misses your program. His name is George Metalius, and he lives in Rye, New Hampshire. That's from Marcia Metalius Dupree from Green Cove Springs, Florida. Now, the name Metalius jumps right out at me.
It does, but you're not really sure why?
Well, Grace Metalius, of course.
Right, or a Peyton Place.
Yes.
Right.
And I'm wondering.
Where did you say he was from originally? Because she was up in Gilmanton, I believe.
Yeah, and doesn't say where originally. Lives in the Portsmouth area now.
Well, it's that kind of general area.
Yeah.
A little further south and
Wouldn't
east
that be
of Gilmanton.
interesting?
Well, I mean, how many Metaliuses can there be? You know, in the state, they must all be related somehow. Somebody will let us know, Dick. That was quite the show, huh?
Quite the place.
Yeah. Hugh Ferguson looking for his first spare, now in his third box.
Falling behind a little bit in the early going. And he'll take a 9 box. Watch the intensity in his face. You get a good close-up of it as he steps to the line. Really concentrating. Focusing on the pins. Real good shot right there, isn't it? Trying to break up the split, and he does. Can he get him all? He's trying to watch that pin down.
Well, he's got some good wood to help him out with that 9 pin and 2 pieces of wood on the deck.
Yeah, a piece of wood out front could be a problem. I don't think he wants to touch that front wood. He wants to go right to that back wood.
I think no matter where he hits it, he's going to make this.
Uh-oh. He did get it.
It was close.
Yeah, I thought it was going to deflect the ball away, but he got enough of it to make the mark.
So he'll match the 4th box spare of Shawn McKinley and remain 9 pins behind.
Several emails and notes regarding our conversation about bowlers who bowled holding 2 balls, one in each hand.
But throwing only one at a time.
Throwing only one.
Just in case anybody's wondering.
My dad used to do it that way.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, we used to see a few bowlers who did it from time to time, and don't see a lot of that nowadays.
Well, I think we heard from everybody who knows somebody.
Kim Polanski emailed, "Hi all, I was watching your show and Saturday you mentioned about any bowlers who bowl with a balance ball in the other hand. Well, I bowl on Tuesday night 6:30 in the Industrial League, and it happens my brother uses that method. Don't really know how effective it is, but he's our anchor bowler, and I haven't seen him fall yet." That's a funny line. That's a mess, isn't it? You've got the 4, 5, 7, 8, 10. With no wood to help out. That's not going to get it done.
He was hoping to sweep the 4-pin to the right across and take out the other ones, but he went a little bit too far. Actually, Dick, I ran into somebody today before we went on the air that said, here's another guy that bowls with the 1 ball in the other hand while he's throwing with the other arm. Bob Spindler from the Wakefield Bowlodrome, who averages 102. We did get a lot of email from people telling us of other people they know who bowl with the balance ball, I guess is what you'd call it.
Hugh trying to break up the split. He does.
Another good break like last box when he broke up what was going to be a more difficult spare. This one he can do without having to worry about the wood, unless he goes so far to the right that he uses it anyway. Not likely.
Michael, we're being watched all over the world, as you know. Got a note here. Hi, guys. Love your show. My wife back home records the shows for me to see over here. Wonder where over here is. The only issue is by the time I see them, it's like 3 months later, but still good to see. A couple of years ago, you announced an old friend of mine passed away. He was Ronnie Brewer. I'd like to say to his brothers how sorry I was to hear this. We went to school together, and he was a great friend back then. Keep up the good work. This from Tom Johnson from Weymouth via Iraq.
Oh, my. So we're being watched in the Middle East? Men and women, we salute you, we thank you, and please be safe. Well, of course, just a couple of weeks ago, we showed the pictures from Tim Lipke, who sent the bowling pins to a friend of his in the Middle East.
And they were setting up Candlepin bowling.
Yeah, they were bowling out in the desert.
Hugh will be open in the 6th frame. And an 8-box.
Well, he maintains a 7-pin deficit to Shawn McKinley, who's only had 2 marks, to Hugh Ferguson's 1.
Now, do we want to get our legions of Candlepin bowling fans to start a letter writing campaign?
We do?
Do we? I'm asking you. Here's the question. Is Candlepin bowling a sport?
Oh, I would say it is.
I would as well. But Earl T. from Hampton Beach writes, apparently not.
Okay.
If you check the sports listing menu from Comcast TV, they have everything else listed but bowling. Perhaps we might wish to mention this to them. Well, there you go, gang.
I didn't realize that.
Time to contact Comcast and tell them that Candlepin bowling is, in fact, a sport and should be listed as such. I leave it in your hands, the good fans of Candlepin bowling.
And they will respond, Dick.
And that will be a 9-box for Shawn. You can get in touch with us. Our mailing address, if you want to send regular mail, is Candlepin Stars and Strikes, 50 Television Place, Darien, New Hampshire, 03038. We'll put our email address up on the screen for you to see. You can send us an email if you wish. You can also send a note if you wish to Leda Lanes, L-E-D-A. Leda Lanes, 340 Amherst Street in Nashua, New Hampshire, 03068.
Just a moment. When Shawn comes up to bowl again, I'll let you know what the 5 strings were that led to his new house record of 769. An amazing 5-string set for him. So Hugh Ferguson addresses the pins, looking for his 2nd mark of the day, and he'll break up yet another split. He's done pretty well with some good sidewall action, and now he's got a 10-pin with a piece of wood right next to it. Just want to keep it away from the gutter side so that he doesn't throw a dead ball. And he went so far to the left that he missed it entirely. The good news is for Ferguson is Shawn McKinley isn't really doing anything. He's kind of waiting around for him. Another 9 for Hugh Ferguson.
72 through 7 for Hugh, so a 7-pin lead for Shawn McKinley through completed boxes. That's a good first ball by Hugh right there in his first strike of the match. Pulls him virtually even with Shawn as you watch the strike all over again. The 6 and the 7, the last 2 to go, they went simultaneously.
All right, so listen to these 5 games for Shawn McKinley on his way to a house record of 769 back on December the 9th. 152, 167, 146, and then he kind of lost it, had only a 133. Wrapped it up with 171. And nearly a spread eagle conversion.
And almost made the shot.
769 for a 5-string average of 153. And that is a house record here at the bowling center he grew up in.
5-string average of 153.
Beating Mike Poulin's 763 total that, as you pointed out last week, Dick, survived 15 years.
Shawn, after missing the spare, has a good spare opportunity here with the 7 pins still standing. No wood to help out.
He's had to battle for everything he's got in this game.
2 marks on the way, and there's a spare. 108 plus a ball for Shawn McKinley in string number 1. The 3-string match, $725 in our triple strike jackpot, $30 in the bonus ball contest. Put a 7 in the mark. Give him a 115 first string. Check it, 114 first string for Shawn McKinley.
Actually, I believe it's our error. It should be 115.
I had 115, and I'm looking at you. 115 is correct. Now Hugh working on a strike. Put it in the 1-2 pocket. He bowls a little left to right, so the 1-2 pocket is his natural pocket. Now he comes down to survey the situation. You got the 5 pin in the middle, the 5, the 6, the 7, and the 9. And he's got wood to play with. How will he approach this shot? He's looked it over, and now he has an idea of how he wants to go about it. Playing the wood on the left. Will not make it. Put 7 in the strike. Give him an 8 box.
Hugh Ferguson can claim to be one of just a handful of bowlers over the years who actually won the high-low jackpot in the old Don Gillis bowling show. Also appeared on Candlepin Pros on Channel 7 in the early 1980s. Better than 3 dozen times on television altogether.
In the 10th frame, Hugh Ferguson missed the head pin. He's got the 4 horsemen on the right side. Well, needs a mark to stay even.
That's right.
With Shawn McKinley, or Shawn will take the lead into the 2nd string. Hugh very deliberate. Will not make the spare. So McKinley will have the lead. Hugh has a 105. And an 8 box. And a 105 first string for Hugh Ferguson. A 10-pin lead for Shawn McKinley after 1. From Leda Lanes, we continue when we return for Candlepin Stars and Strikes. Hugh Ferguson will bowl first in string number 2 as we welcome you back to Leda Lanes in Nashua for Candlepin Stars and Strikes. Dick Lutz with Mike Morin and our entire crew making it possible for you to watch the finest Candlepin bowlers in the world every week. As Hugh Ferguson leads off the 2nd string with a good first ball and a strike. Kevin LaFawn's our director, Keith Webb our engineer, Craig Amabello, Larry Haber, Tanya Perry operating the cameras, Chuck Lothrop on replay. There's the replay right there. Eric Angers on audio, Steve Kenny on graphics. And you get to watch shots like that made by the finest shot makers in the game of Candlepin bowling, such as Hugh Ferguson, who bowls with a strike in the 1st frame. 2 in a row. Trying to mix them up. There goes 9 of them. And it will be 9.
We're going to make that 10 pins back in a hurry, Dick, starting this 2nd string before Shawn even gets a chance to respond.
We had Shawn last week going after the triple strike jackpot. He put 2 strikes together in the 10th frame of the 2nd string and had a great opportunity for $700, and he dropped 9 pins. The 5 pin was the only one that didn't go down, denying him the $700 prize. Now here's Hugh looking for a spare. Plays the wood on the outside and has it.
Yeah, you know, he wanted to avoid that first piece of wood that was sticking out over the gutter.
Watch it again. We're going to watch. This is the opportunity that Shawn had.
No, that's
not.
this
This is the
shot here.
shot right here.
Ago,
right, I misunderstood. This is the shot that Hugh just had going after the strike. I thought we were going to show Shawn's triple strike attempt from last week.
I think Shawn paid us to burn that. I don't think we can take a look at it any longer.
Oh, Shawn let that one get away.
247 and didn't even come close. He knew it as soon as he let it go. Much better
That'll
shot.
be a 10 box. He'd like to have that one back again. Got a note, an email from a frequent contributor, Kurt Levesque from Deerfield, New Hampshire. Mike, he scolds us a little bit.
I can take it, Dick.
You can, I can't. I couldn't believe that one of you guys didn't predict the Red Sox were going to win the World Series.
Well, I didn't predict it, but I did buy a ticket on him in Las Vegas, and I made out very nicely, in fact. Paid for my next trip to Las Vegas.
Why didn't we pick it? It was an event 86 years in the making. Oh, look at that. Had it all the way. Shawn banked the wood off the wall and it came back. Look at this shot. Watch it again. Watch the wood kick off the wall and come back and wipe it out. Did both of you guys perhaps predict that the Red Sox were going to come from 3 games down to beat the Yankees? I think the 19-8 Yankees win caused the Yanks to go downhill.
Well, I'm sure, Kurt, that you didn't predict it after 3 games. Now, come on, let's be honest.
My mother and I are Red Sox fans. My father grew up a Yankees fan. My mother said I got a Christmas present in October with the Red Sox winning the World Series. I'm sure a lot of people felt that way.
Sure
Kurt Levesque from Deerfield, New Hampshire. Thanks. Not many people were very confident when the Red Sox were down 3 games to love to the Yankees.
No, that's very true. I was in Las Vegas in September and did buy a ticket. The Red Sox were 3-1 to win it all. I thought, what the heck? One of these years they're bound to do it. They rewarded me.
I don't recall
nicely.
you taking me out to dinner with the winnings that you got.
But you know, if you would just be humble for just 5 minutes in your life, I might actually take you out to dinner sometime.
I am a very humble guy. I don't understand what you're saying.
Whatever, as the kids say. There's the first bump in the road this game for Hugh Ferguson after a strike spare open, now an 8 in the 3rd frame.
That's a good first ball.
Oh.
Can he break up the split? Yes, he can. Watch out that pin. Will that pin turn away? It will. It'll give him a clear shot at the 7 pin.
I have some Hugh Ferguson trivia for you. Actually, I don't expect that you would know it. I did not know it because I didn't grow up in this area. But I'll ask you, this is from, and I know a lot of our viewers will know this, so bear with me here. Who was the lob line judge on the Don Gillis show prior to Ralph Stewart?
Prior to Ralph Stewart.
This is a friend of Hugh Ferguson's from Empire Lanes.
Prior to Ralph Stewart. I'm not going to get that one.
We'll let folks think about it during the commercial break, which will be coming up in just a moment or so. I'll give you the answer in a couple of moments. Our old timers will know the answer to that. The lob line judge prior to Ralph Stewart. I'll tell you who it was here in just a couple of minutes.
Is it a name that's recognizable to?
Well, again, because I moved here in 1984, and at that time Ralph Stewart was doing it, so it's not a name that I know, but I'm sure a lot of people who've lived here their entire lives will know who it is.
We do not use a lob line judge. We leave it up to the bowlers to police themselves.
Yeah, we feel it's not necessary. We see very, very infrequent violations of lobbing.
And that piece of wood went right between the 5 and the 10.
Do you put that on your income tax refund when you, or your application when you career lob line judge?
Where do you go to school for that?
Exactly. There's a nice break that pin's going to snuggle on over. Well, maybe
Move
not.
away.
You'd like to have it leaning against it to contain the pins flying around, which helps with that sleeper in the back, the 9 pin.
That's what happens. So he will be open in the 4th, and we've got a tight match.
Yeah, but Hugh Ferguson's going to have the lead midway through.
A 10 box.
I'm sorry, down by 5.
A 5-pin lead for Shawn McKinley. As we take the break from Leda Lanes in Nashua, you are watching Candlepin Stars and Strikes. Hugh Ferguson gets set to bowl as you look at some of the crowd gathered here at Leda Lanes in Nashua to watch Candlepin Stars and Strikes. A great crowd on hand. Always treated first class by Ray Simino, Sean Howard, and the staff at Leda Lanes who do it upright and get everybody prepped and ready to go. The coffee and donuts are here early. The fans arrive early. They get their choice seats and hunker down for the day of Candlepin bowling. And Hugh Ferguson with the strike. He liked that shot, didn't he? His reaction told you all you needed to know about the shot.
Double arm pump.
Yep, right in the 1-3 pocket that time.
Beautiful.
Second strike of the string for Hugh.
725 is the triple strike jackpot pool currently for anybody who can get 3 in a row, or at least the first bowler to do so.
Looking for number 2, another good first ball. But look at this, he's got the 5-10 split. with some wood out front.
He's been pretty good about breaking up splits today, and if he doesn't break up the split, he at least leaves himself some options on the lane. Take a closer look. The bowling quarterback, Monday morning quarterbacks, discussing where Hugh should hit this. They're saying right on the red stripe. What do you folks at home think? Where does he hit it?
Right there.
On the stripe, and it worked. Another strike spare combination, second time today for Hugh Ferguson.
Doris Hunt of Dorchester writes, Mike, as you watch the replay again, and Hugh Ferguson played the spare perfectly and got the wood to kick the 10-pin out. There's a good first ball by Shawn. Doris Hunt from Dorchester, Massachusetts writes, I moved from Boston to Dover in 1990. We were always fans of Don Gillis and continued to watch his bowling show on Saturdays and discovered bowling in New Hampshire with Dan Murphy, who used to do this show before we did. I try to watch your show as much as possible, but I have 7 grandchildren heavily involved in organized sports, so my weekends are pretty much tied up. This time of year, it's basketball and hockey. I moved back to Boston in 2000, but try to watch on Sundays. She writes that she just watched mixed doubles with John Plant and Cindy Beatrice. And you mentioned Cindy's son started bowling at 18 months. I must tell you that my grandson John also started bowling at 18 months at the Dover Bowl in Dover, New Hampshire. He has a number of trophies that he won in tournaments before he was 3. When he was 3, we took him to see Don Gillis' tournament at Pilgrim Lanes, and he was thrilled to talk to Mike Morgan in the parking lot. Mike was very kind and encouraged John to keep bowling. And during the tournament, Tommy Ulster won that year. John was mock bowling on an empty lane. Eddie Harding from Channel 5 noticed him and asked if he could interview him. He did, and during the interview asked John who his favorite bowler was. We expected John to say Mike Morgan, but he said Joe Ashline. He was able to bowl against Joe in a fundraiser at Dover Bowl, and he won the string against Joe. Right now, I'm off to CYO to a basketball game. Keep up the good work. Doris Hunt from Dorchester, Massachusetts. Doris, thank you very much.
Great story. We appreciate your mail, either snail mail or online. Here's the 1 and the 7 with some wood on both pins for Hugh Ferguson. Nice shot. So that's 3 in a row and a $50 spare for Hugh Ferguson, who is slowly pulling away from Shawn McKinley, who came into this game with a 10-pin lead.
First bonus money we've given away.
All the pins shoving over into the corner to take out the 7. Hugh Ferguson now would like to make it 4 in a row.
6 marks in the string for Hugh. Good first ball. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Looked better than that, didn't it, Dick?
It did. Well, possibilities here.
He was going to tiptoe up to the line and do the golf crouch here and see how that putt lies.
It's the 7-10 with a couple of pieces of wood.
This would be a spectacular shot if he can pull it off.
Well, he's got the wood angled. I'm not sure how he's going to play it. Inside or out? He goes inside. Missed the wood. Open in the 8th is Hugh. Now it'll be a 10 box. He uses the whole alley to pick up that 10-pin. Now Shawn McKinley has some work to do.
I did promise I'd give the answer to the trivia question that Hugh Ferguson posed to me, who was the Don Gillis bowling era lob line judge prior to Ralph Stewart. The answer is Lou Spera, S-P-E-R-A. I know a lot of our viewers know that, but for those that don't, Lou Spera of Empire Lane's a good friend of Hugh Ferguson's. Thank you for that little bit of bowling trivia, Hugh.
I wonder why Lou was replaced, if there was any controversy, if he called too many lobs.
Maybe his socks weren't quite as sporty as Mr. Stewart's Argyle socks that everybody became so enamored with.
Spare for Shawn as he tries to creep back into it. Got an email from a lady who just signed it, Rita. And Rita wanted to know what's the address to send a card for the bonus ball contest. Rita, I'm happy to give it to you. It's bonus ball contest, care of Leda Lanes, L-E-D-A Lanes. 340 Amherst Street. Look at that shot by Shawn McKinley. Wow. A couple of marks in a row for Shawn as he converted that difficult shot. And that's a great shot by Shawn and puts him right back into the match. Leda Lanes is at 340 Amherst Street, Nashua. I gave you an incorrect zip code a while back. The correct zip code is 03063. 03063 is the zip code for Leda Lanes in Nashua. That's where you send the bonus ball postcard. You pick a number from 0 to 10, and our winning bowler will take a shot at it.
Well, how about
once
1
he
to 10?
knows, could be 0.
Well, yeah, but now the person has to throw a gutter ball.
Yeah, we don't want 0. We don't, don't pick 0.
We'll throw your card out if you put a 0 on it.
1 to 10. And our winning bowler will take a shot at it, and whatever the cash prize is in the jackpot at that time could be yours, or you get a consolation prize from N&R Trophies in Winchendon, Massachusetts. If you went after the spare and didn't make it, Hugh takes his time, very deliberate. And he will get a 9. 127 through 9 for Hugh Ferguson.
Last time on, he was the number 5 seed, defeated Scott Bradish and Bruno DeFeo, then was beaten by the late Tom Morgan 422 to 405 just about exactly 2 years ago, February 3rd of 03.
Caught the head pin that time, an 8-pin drop, and a spare opportunity here. The 2 and the 5. No wood to help out Hugh Ferguson. Missed it. And a 9 box to finish out with a 136 second string for Hugh Ferguson. Now Shawn McKinley had a 10-pin lead after 1. And he's working on a couple of marks. Trying to hold on to that advantage going into the 3rd string. Good first ball, but a tough lead here. Knocked the 2-pin off its mark by quite a bit. Over closer to the 4-pin. Got a piece of wood angled there that could help. Played the wood, missed the shot.
Some of the bowlers that you didn't get to see because they did not make the last ladder attempt was Chris Sargent. Although he was tied at 665 with 2 other bowlers, Mike Poulin and Shawn McKinley, he had the lowest of the 3 strings in terms of who had the highest, and so unfortunately he was the odd man out. So he technically was still in 4th place, but ended up 6th. Ed Woodside was 7th. Mike McGann was 8th. Gary Santora, who's here watching today, number 9, and Chris Beaubear, former Tournament of Champions winner, tied for 10th with Jack Ray, but not enough to get into the show.
When you look at the roll-off scores from 2nd seeded Joe Schifferdecker down to 5th seeded Shawn McKinley, 6 pins separated 5 bowlers.
That's true.
Shawn finishes with a 10 box and a 123, and the lead shifts to Hugh Ferguson's side. He has a 3-pin lead going to the 3rd and final string as we return to Leda Lanes in Nashua for Candlepin Stars and Strikes. Shawn McKinley will bowl first in the 3rd string, trailing Hugh Ferguson by 3 pins, with Ferguson's 136 in the 2nd string, putting him in the lead. Shawn starts off with a good first ball. Can he break up the split? The 5-pin still stands. Piece of wood is angled pretty well for him. Makes the shot doable. 5, 6, 10. Piece of wood right there. There's the wood, there's the shot, and he missed the spare.
Oh, my. Crowd fully expected all 3 pins to go down. They did not.
And a 9 box to start out. It's just never quite as easy as it looks.
That's for sure. Our runner-up today will take home $375, and our winner will play our 2nd seed next week. A bowler with the, I believe, the longest name of all the bowlers we've dealt with, Joe Schifferdecker, with 14 letters in his last name. Joe Schifferdecker, who's been on television before, but not with us. Not in the last 7 or 8 years, anyway. I believe he was on the Skins show at one time.
That's a nice shot by Shawn. Watch this spare picked up by Shawn McKinley. Played perfectly. Want to acknowledge an email we received from Fred Hicks from Derry. Fred, thank you very much for writing. Nice to hear from you, and thanks for watching Candlepin Stars and Strikes. There's a shot by Hugh and a spare opportunity here for Ferguson on lane 34. Candlepin Stars and Strikes presented by McMulkin Chevrolet, Nashua Mitsubishi, Nashua Hyundai, and McMulkin Cadillac, all in Nashua. And by Tri-State Megabucks and the games of the New Hampshire State Lottery Commission. Hugh is very deliberate. And he missed the spare. The wood knocked the ball away. Again, one that looked easy. If he put the ball right there, you thought he had no way to miss. But the wood deflected it away. And you have to settle for a 10 box.
I think that's the first impression one gets if they're introduced to candlepins that come from another part of the country. Oh, that looks easy. And then you start getting out there and you see the angles and the deflections can work against you sometimes. You have a whole new respect for the game, which is difficult, challenging, and that's why we like it.
Bud Jacklin from Salem, New Hampshire writes, a few years ago I was able to borrow a video from the bowling lanes where I bowled. It featured Dan Murphy. We mentioned Dan earlier. He did this show prior to us. And a young thin person with black hair and a black mustache. Was that you, Mike?
That was me. I was the host, the MC of the Dan Murphy Learn to Bowl video. That was actually a pretty popular instructional tool for a number of years, and I believe that writer wants to know where they could still get a copy of it.
Is it still available? Do you still have a copy
Try
of it?
the Smithsonian. I probably do somewhere.
I'd love to see it.
I don't know where it is off the top of my head. I can tell you a funny story about the video, actually. That's actually very complimentary to Dan Murphy.
9 bucks for Hugh, so...
We actually shot the video at the bowling center in Natick. Fairway lanes,
yeah.
That's it. Took a whole day, set up the lights. I mean, it was a very well done, professional presentation, despite the fact they had me a part of it. Anyway, Dan was giving various tips, hand positions, approaches. So then what we wanted to do was to demonstrate how scoring is kept, because it's not an easy thing to learn. So we said, Dan, we're just going to shoot. We're going to let the cameras roll, and you just bowl the game, and we're going to score it and show people how it's done. So what does he do? He starts with 5 strikes in a row.
That's funny.
Now, for somebody just learning the game, you would look at that and say, gosh, this is easy. So what we did is we after the first 3, we made him bowl from the 4th frame on again and rescored it, because nobody would believe, that the game is as difficult as it is watching him bang out 5 strikes in a row.
That's a funny story. 10 bucks for Shawn. Bud Jacklin says he talks about the tape. He says it could be a help to you because he's counting on you crushing me this year.
Should watch my own videos, huh? Well, I'm sure it's available. It's probably around somewhere. Some bowling centers may still have a copy or 2 of it, and I'm not sure.
Dan Murphy up at the Boutwells in Concord might have some.
He may
possibly.
very well have a trunk full of them. I don't know. He was selling them downtown Manchester last I saw.
Out of the trunk of his car.
Yeah.
45 through 4 for Shawn McKinley.
We shot that probably, Dick, in 1988, so we're talking 18 years
I'd love
ago.
to see it if anybody
17.
has a copy.
I probably do somewhere. Gonna have to dig around and root around for it somewhere. It was a lot of fun to make.
Hugh on 34. Half Worcester.
My daughter's still very upset about the day we taped that, because I wouldn't let her take a day off from school so she could come and be in the crowd.
Watch it?
Yeah. No, you're going to go to school, young lady. I pay good money for this Catholic school education. So she still teases me about it from time to time. All the other kids got to go, of the parents who were involved with the show. Yeah, you're thanking me now, aren't you, Liz?
Hugh will be open in the 3rd frame. We're going to have a tight match here. 7 bucks. Shawn McKinley has gone back into the lead. Hugh led by 3 after 2. That's a good first ball. And it's a 9-pin drop.
Well, he's deadly.
Piece of wood out front.
When he gets on that Brooklyn side, Dick, he really shakes him up nice, and his whole approach is pretty much left to right, shooting for the Brooklyn pocket. The 1-2 pocket.
This is the 7-pin. He's got to sneak the ball by that piece of wood. And he hit the wood.
Look at that.
And he got it. Oh, wow. A spare for Hugh. We go to the break. Very tight match between Shawn McKinley and Hugh Ferguson. We're coming back for the finish when we return to Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire for Candlepin Stars and Strikes. Shawn McKinley on lane 34 as we return to action at Leda Lanes. Tight match here. Shawn, a good first ball. McKinley has a 6-pin lead minus what Hugh Ferguson gets on his spare fill. So for all intents and purposes, his match is dead even. And Shawn now looking for a mark in the 5th frame. Tough shot here for him, though. Will he get it?
Oh,
yes, he will.
wow.
What a great shot. Watch it again. Shawn. He used the wood. Now we're back to the action on the spare. Missed the head pin. Tough shot coming here for Shawn. 4 horsemen left side. 10-pin on the right side.
Want to let you know, coming up in just a couple of weeks, the annual Rock and Bowl event to help raise money for the kids from Pilgrim Lanes to go to their annual Canada trip, which this year will be on March 17th is when they leave, but it takes thousands of dollars to pay for room and bus and then the bowling entries and such. So it's a lot of fun. You can do your part to help these kids to become international competitors by coming out and watching all the professional bowlers bowl with some of the amateurs, and then part of the day is Dick and yours truly as MCs, and then we have our annual grudge match. This will be our 6th. And again, that's Sunday, February 20th from 9 to 1 Pilgrim Lanes on Primrose Lane in Haverhill. If you'd like more information, go to the website icYBA.org. Again, that's icYBA.org. And prior to that, there'll be another fundraiser, the annual Bowlers Bash fundraiser on Saturday the 5th. That's a couple weeks before our event. Goes from 7 to midnight at the Ambets on Primrose Street. Again, you can find that at icYBA.org. Come see Dick and I host Rock and Bowl Sunday the 20th, 9 o'clock in the morning, Pilgrim Lanes.
Hugh Ferguson, tough shot right through the opening. Neither bowler really filling their spares. That's going to be a 5-box for Hugh.
Not a good time to be doing that.
A 46 half. Now he's up against a 6-box that Shawn put on the board. A mark here would put it right back to even. Missed the head pin again. So he's lost the range a little bit. Michael, for the past couple of months, as our viewers are watching this show, the past couple of months I've done some fill-in work on radio in Worcester for Holy Cross basketball, men and women, filling in for the great Bob Foraker, who's a great friend of Candlepin Bowling, of course,
sure.
and had a Candlepin Bowling show
Right.
of his own for a dozen years or so on television in central Massachusetts. And Bob sends his greetings to all the Candlepin Bowling fans who remember Bay State Bowling. And we are working, trying to clear a date where Bob can come up and spend some time with us in one of our tapings.
That would be fun.
And reminisce about his days hosting his show. And we're hoping that will be in the not-too-distant future, that Bob comes up and spends some time with us.
Well, as you watch this show on its first run on Sunday the 23rd, our next taping will be Tuesday the 8th of February. So it's possible that might be the day that Mr. Foraker is here. And if you wanted to come up and say hi and tell him you appreciated all the work he did for Candlepin Bowling over the years, that is possibly the date, although there's no way for us to know at this time. But our next taping date, Leda Lanes, 10 o'clock in the morning, Tuesday, February 8th.
8-box for Shawn, who's missed an opportunity to take advantage of an opening.
He's just hanging on to a 9-pin lead through completed boxes, so Hugh Ferguson is not out of it yet. Only
spare opportunity here.
3 marks stick between the two bowlers so far in this game.
They've both cooled down here in the 3rd string. Oh, look at this. He got the head pin, but not enough of it to make the spare.
Well, a couple of marks, and Hugh Ferguson is back in control here. A couple of marks would put him pretty close to even, or even perhaps a bit ahead with a decent fill, but he's been fishing here to find the sweet spot this game.
Got an email. It's not signed, but the viewer from Marblehead, Massachusetts writes, while watching your shows on the weekend, I especially like to watch your audience's reactions. You certainly have a faithful following.
We do.
That we do.
We thank them for their loyalty, and you as well in television land watching. This may be one of our bigger crowds of the year so far today.
There's a spare for Hugh.
Desperately needed as we're running out of boxes for Hugh Ferguson.
Again, we're virtually even with this spare fill. Watch it again. He played the wood up top and took the spare. On lane 33, taking his time. The crowd silences. The drama fills. Hugh throws a strike. Watch it again. That gives Hugh Ferguson the lead back. It's 3 pins plus whatever he puts into his strike. Shawn threw a good first ball and was rewarded with that.
5, 7, and 8 with some wood at a bit of an angle. Could be touching the 5-pin.
Missed it. Open frame. Dire straits for Shawn McKinley right now. And an 8 box. Needless to say, he needs a mark. He could use a double strike right now, to be honest.
$375 to our runner-up. Joe Schifferdecker is standing by to see our winner next week.
Oh, there's one. And he could use another. Watch it again. This one takes about no time flat for the pins to fly. There they go. In unison. Shawn's capable of putting a couple together. We've seen him do it. No, he grabbed the head pin, but not all of them. Waiting for that piece of wood to square up. It does. And he will finish with an 8-pin fill in the strike and a 110 third string. All right, Hugh Ferguson needs 23 pins. He needs to fill the strike. Really, anything over 3 in the strike fill puts him in pretty good situation. First ball is not a good one.
But no damage done.
Got one more to go. Damage is done if he follows that one right through the hole.
Well, that's very true. But he doesn't lose any fill yet.
Well, he put 7 in the strike.
He's still
He
in
will
pretty
not
good
need
shape,
a
Dick.
mark.
No.
But if he needs a couple of pins here.
He's got 339 if he misses this, and then he needs 10 to win.
He took the 2 on the right, which is a safe way to go.
That's huge. He now only needs 8 pins to win.
7 to tie, 8 to win for Hugh Ferguson right now.
But the way things are going today, it's tough to tell which Hugh Ferguson is going to throw this ball. The strike Hugh or the half Worcester Hugh?
7 to tie, 8 to win.
If there is a tie, we do a 2-box roll-off.
Here's the first ball. It's not a good one. 6.
All Shawn can do is watch right now. Watch his fate.
7 to tie, 8 to win. There's the 8. Hugh Ferguson's the winner.
Yep. That's all she wrote.
Hugh has won the match.
Wow.
It goes right down to the last frame.
Exciting finish.
And he will finish with a 9 box and a 109 And a 2-pin win for Hugh Ferguson over Shawn McKinley at Leda Lanes. A real thriller for you. We'll come back to meet our boulders when we return to Candlepin Stars and Strikes from Leda Lanes in Nashua.